Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls franchise are a massively popular video game RPG series, and Brandon Sanderson is a massively popular fantasy author. So what was his take on Skyrim? Well, I didn't quite agree with it, but I think it was a bit of a misunderstanding. I was in a room with him where he gave some of his opinions, so let's go ahead and walk through it. Spend the next 3-ish minutes with me as we go down this little funny story rabbit hole, and let's dive in. The big thing is that I was in a lecture he taught because he teaches a lot of lectures. I live in the Western US, and I was visiting some friends who are in a writing group of mine because I like to write novels, which is why I was in a lecture by a famous novelist. So some of these writing people were at BYU taking his class. Yes, BYU, the Mormon one. If you randomly want more Mormon content, I made a video about beating Minecraft, following all the rules of Mormonism. That's not super relevant for this context. So I was in a lecture, and the week's lecture was on world building. Brandon Sanderson is seen as a pretty good world builder. Elder Scrolls is seen as one of the best examples of world building in media history, in my opinion, but at the very least gaming history. So color me tickled and shocked, because when he was talking about Elder Scrolls, he gave an opinion pretty inverted from what is usual. Here is what Sanderson said about the Elder Scrolls. I'll go ahead and I'd run the clip, but I didn't film it. I was in the lecture and it wasn't recorded this time, so just for the record, this is like a month ago and I might not be remembering it perfectly. This is more just a schizo rant about a funny little misunderstanding and not any sort of attack piece, because let's be real, Sanderson was a very charismatic, charming dude, one of the kindest, famous people I've ever met. It was actually crazy. Love the guy. Anyway, he was talking about world building in the Elder Scrolls, and he said something along this line. Yes, I played Arena and Daggerfall back in the day. I'm that old, and a lot of people criticize Daggerfall because it had the mile-wide, inch-deep approach of it's so big, but there's not really any depth to too much stuff. And then he said something that kind of started confusing me, because I've seen his lectures in the past, and he's used Elder Scrolls as an example before, so I think I know where he's going, and then he says this. In later games like Oblivion, Skyrim, Morrowind, the depth kind of, it kind of struggled, like the depth, it didn't quite stay there, and it kept that approach of very big but shallow. And I was really confused, because for most Elder Scrolls fans, the idea is Daggerfall went from procedurally generated to Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, the famous ones that a lot of people know, because they handcrafted it, put a lot of depth into it, and then became some of the best written fantasy worlds and RPGs on the planet. And Sanderson just said pretty much the opposite of what everyone else thinks, which is why I think it's a misunderstanding. I think that's what he was trying to say, and just got a little bit twisted up. I think he was trying to say that Daggerfall was a little bit shallow and then they improved it, but he might have just thrown the wrong word, and people tend to do that when they're lecturing for an hour. I didn't want to look through all of his lectures to find a 20-second clip, but he's used this Daggerfall Elder Scrolls example before, and I don't think he said the same thing. And just for the record, if he fully meant what he said, great, I disagree with it, but whatever. But I am pretty sure that he did not mean it, because I do have some clips here, because Elder Scrolls is literally on record as being one of his favorite video game worlds. He's made a video on it, and here's the clip.
5 is Elder Scrolls. So my reason for Elder Scrolls is something that is done poorly very often, but they're doing it well.
So he goes on to say that he thinks Elder Scrolls is very good. He said he thinks Morrowind is the gold standard. He said he loved Oblivion, loved Skyrim. He even said that he thinks the world building did a great job at being very generic in a Tolkien-esque sense, but feeling very unique, so it can kind of feel familiar without feeling boring, and he thought they did a very good job, not just having generic dwarves, generic elves. So he was very complimentary of the series as a whole, and again, old clips that I just don't want to find also have said that. I know so much of this is trust me bro, but that's why it's a less edited little rant. And then after that, he has another clip of him saying that Fallout New Vegas is one of his top 10 favorite games of all time. So clearly this guy likes Elder Scrolls, he likes Fallout. I don't think he's really going for that intent. I think it was just a quick little oops-a-daisy, just kind of, again, mixed the words up a bit, maybe said something he wasn't quite trying to, or maybe he totally changed his mind and doesn't like the newer Elder Scrolls games, which, man, I disagree, but yeah, so as we can see, there's definitely documented evidence that he hasn't, at least as of a couple years ago, not really said this before. And yeah, so maybe I accidentally clickbaited you a teensy bit thinking there's some crazy drama between your favorite author and favorite game series, but really I just wanted an excuse to talk about why one of my favorite authors and one of my favorite game series had a cool little interaction, flex that I got to meet him for a little bit, and also just talk about why I think Elder Scrolls is a cool series, what Sanderson has said on it in the past, and then just a little anecdote of him maybe messing it up or maybe changing his mind, who knows. Either way, I hope you enjoy it. If you like Elder Scrolls stuff, keep watching my channel. I have a lot of it on here. Thanks to my channel members who voted for this topic, especially Frog Wizard, upper tier member, you're the GOAT. And yeah, I hope you have a fantastic day. A little less edited, just kind of goofy rant here to listen to while you're pooping or doing your dishes. Talk out, talk out.
I'm a god. How can you kill a god? What a grand and intoxicating innocence. I'm a god. How can you kill a god?